40% of kids can't read and teachers are quitting. This is embarrassing.
What is this, a school for ants?
A fourth grader asked their teacher, why do I need to learn how to read if AI can read for me?
I asked my
Oh my goodness.
teacher that same thing in 1997 because I said a computer will be able to read this in the future. Why the fuck do I need to learn how to read?
Valid question. I gotta go use the bathroom.
And they said, shut up and learn how to read.
Right now, 40% of fourth graders can't read. We're witnessing the collapse
40% of fourth graders can't read? What?
of the American education system.
I teach 8th grade history, and I have 110-ish students.
8th grade history.
Them are reading on grade level.
So out of 100 students, 2 of them know how to read?
Right now. 18 of them are at a kindergarten level. 55.
See, what we need to do, I'm going to explain the real problem here. What we need to do is we need to get these blue, purple, green, fucking haired Karens out of education, and we need to get the guys that are in the military. When you retire from the military, they need to have a pipeline from you being in the Navy SEALs to you being a high school history teacher. And I guarantee you, they're going to learn how to read. Absolutely. Yeah, you bring in veterans and you say, listen here, you little shit. You're going to learn how to do this. You're going to know everything about World War II, and that's going to be it. Yeah, Navy SEAL PE teachers? Exactly. That's the big problem.
5 of those students are between a 2nd and 4th grade level.
Uh-huh.
We were doing guided notes. Supposed to be a real easy day. It was review. They wrote down Maryland was founded as a safe haven for Catholics. It was on the board. They wrote it down. And before we moved on, I call on a student and I ask, hey, where were the Catholics one more time? And these students, what they do is they look at me and then they look at their notes and then they look at the board. They look back at their notes. And some of them never answered me. They never
just sit there like a bot? Oh my God.
Figured out the answer. It was wild. And I kept giving them hints, like rephrasing the question and saying, like, it's in your notes. We just wrote it down. We just wrote it down. Where are the Catholics? It's on the board.
Yeah.
And they never got it. They can't read their own notes.
Wow.
And I don't mean their handwriting. I mean, like, they
probably can't read that either.
They can't make heads or tails of it on the
page. They're just straight up retarded.
These kids have a frightening ability for information to go from their eyes.
I feel like this chick's lying just because of fucking hair dye. Like, I'm pretty sure she's stupid as well.
Eyes to their hands.
The students aren't the only ones.
And not pass through the brain at all. What do we do, y'all? That ship is sailing.
Future batteries. Future.
Like, this bitch probably just thinks she's the shit.
Future batteries.
Sailing across the ocean. And there is no one at the wheel.
What she described is terrifying. The information goes through their eyes, down through their hands, without passing through their brains. I don't think it's only COVID. But this isn't an isolated...
I think a lot of students just realize the teachers are dumb also. So
incident. This is nationwide. I looked up the actual numbers. Only 23% of 4th graders can read at a proficient level.
23% can read at a proficient level?
Seriously, if you do a study on the teachers, I bet it'd be bad also.
What? What?
Level, just 23%. Then we have the 8th graders, only 26% are reading proficiently. For all the reforms, adding technology into the classrooms, and debating about funding, we're now at 40%.
Wow.
We didn't get better, we made it worse.
Yep.
I've been teaching since 1993. And yes, we have...
Again, replace these women with Navy SEALs, all of these problems are going to go away. There's not going to be any more problems.
Always had kids who struggled to focus. But what's happening now is on a whole other level.
Yeah.
You remember how it used to feel when the
How old's
teacher
8th grade?
would
13,
pull out
14.
the cart with the big TV and the VCR attached?
Absolutely.
Yeah, not anymore. Now I've got kids asking to skip it. They literally can't just sit and watch.
I'm a 90s
They can't watch movies. They're so cooked that they can't even watch a movie. Oh my god. That's impressive. It really is.
kid, so I know exactly what she's talking about. When that rinky-dink TV
Yeah.
rolled into the
Bill Nye?
classroom, that was the best day ever.
Absolutely.
But today's kids are overstimulated. TV is not cutting it. When
Yeah.
we were growing up, they said we watched too many cartoons.
Right.
Now kids don't even want cartoons.
They can't.
It's not
Yeah, the
enough
kids can't handle cartoons anymore because they go on too long.
stimulation. They get bored. Kids today are growing up watching Cocomelon and YouTube.
I mean, this is a kid that's on a tablet at 3 years old, and she's beating her head against the sofa. I mean, like, really, at a certain point, you have to think to yourself, like, something's wrong here, right? I mean,
Parent of the year.
something's very clearly wrong.
Kids today are growing up watching Cocomelon and YouTube Shorts,
Yeah.
content that's meant to hold attention for seconds at a time. And now we're asking them to sit in a classroom.
I don't think that's so bad, really. I don't, because like that's just, you know, kids liking kids stuff, right? I mean, we like stupid stuff when we were kids. The new kids like new stupid stuff. That's fine.
for hours with no screens and no stimulation.
Yeah, it's
Of
about
course,
the
they're
same.
going to roam around yelling 6, 7. They're having withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah.
Honey, teaching kids isn't the same anymore. It's just not. Used to be kids would listen to teachers simply because they were teachers. That was the respect of it all. Now, no, honey. I got to keep the kids constantly engaged. Not even just engaged, but almost overstimulated. The candy isn't even working anymore. Giving out candy for positive reinforcement doesn't even work anymore. They don't care about that. Girl, I'm using chimpanzini bananini just to get my kids' attention, just so they'll look at me.
She's
Hello?
talking faster than XQC.
Yeah, she talks too fast.
Is that what you have to do to hold the attention of a 7th grade class now?
I'm pretty sure that fucking.
Oh my god.
makes them not care.
Oh, hello.
Look
Girl,
at
boy,
this.
I got kids saying 6-7 repeatedly. They don't even know how to spell 6-7. Catching me doing this mid lecture, just to see if they're paying attention. You watching? Hello, we there? Girl, it's so bad now. It's so bad.
Yeah.
TVs don't work. Candy isn't working. The only thing that grabs their
Why would
attention
those-
is TikTok
That
memes.
was a good thing.
Chimpanzini bananini. Wah wah wah. Bananucci monkey 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 uchi.
All right, I take it back. This is dumber than what we got into. This is really stupid.
But only because we didn't have AI. What we got in, it would have been just as bad.
This is really dumb.
Or chimpanzini cocosini. Wah wah wah. Boop boop bada bim.
This is
Coconucci monkey 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 uchi.
This is really stupid.
Despite these apps requiring users to be 13,
Wow.
kids are on them way earlier.
They're on them at
One study
5.
found that a quarter of kids aged 11 to 15 said they use social media to forget about their problems. 17%
like,
said
I
they
mean, you're 11 to 15. How
You
many
have
problems
problems.
do you
What the
fucking
fuck?
have? Like, really? Like, I mean, when I was 12 years old, I didn't really have problems. Like, what do you mean problems to begin with? What problems? Problems at 11? Yeah. What, you didn't get pizza today? Like,
tried to cut
This bitch, fucking mom of mine, keeps harassing me about cleaning my room.
back but couldn't. These kids are describing addiction. Gen Z was the first generation to grow up on social media, and they're the most anxious, most depressed, loneliest
Yeah.
generation on record. And now Gen Alpha isn't just growing up on social media, they also have generative AI.
Okay, this is becoming a genuinely concerning
Yeah.
issue. As a substitute teacher, I am encountering a really concerning number of students who truly do not see any value in learning because, as one of the 4th and 5th graders that I was teaching the other day asked me, why do I need to know any of this
You just
if
look
a
it up.
computer or AI can do it for me?
that's right. That's right.
A little girl didn't want to learn how to read because why would she need
She avoided answering the question. The answer is you don't.
to when she could have
Yep.
the computer read it to her? Or when
Absolutely.
she could just take a picture of her math problem
So
and have
true.
the AI do it for her. This is a legitimate issue.
Children do.
Well,
legitimate
here's the
question.
real
What the
legitimate
fuck, bitch?
issue. It's because I bet you don't really have an answer for her.
Yeah, exactly.
You probably don't have a real answer
Yeah.
for why do you need to learn all of this bullshit
You can't be a good
in order
teacher
to,
if you're
you
even more
know,
clueless
like
than
go
your
on with
student.
life if, you know, you can just have a computer do this. They probably don't have a real answer for it. And the fact is that, like, why do you really need to know long division? The answer, you don't.
I do.
You
It's
can
not a
just do it with your
programmer,
phone.
but-
Everybody
Ask
has a
Bill
phone. Every phone has a calculator. There's never going to be a universe where 99% of people will ever actually have to make a decision that requires a long form division that a calculator isn't immediately accessible to. And I think that's the big issue. It's that they can't change with the times. And so they keep trying to teach kids. Like, I remember a good example of this was, like, for us, it was cursive. Like, we used to have to learn how to write cursive. You know what I did? Nothing. I never learned cursive. It was
Same.
stupid. Why would I learn cursive?
Fucking
Like, these
pointless.
teachers, if they were so smart, they wouldn't be teachers, okay? So, like, I never took them seriously at all. And I think that for a lot of these different, especially math things, why does somebody really need to know the answer to this? And I think that's the problem, is that they don't have a good answer for why.
Not have fully developed reasoning abilities. Their brains just
It's because they're too busy asking the how. They don't have time to ask the why.
aren't developed. We can just take a look at the subreddit Kids Are Stupid to see
Kids are fucking stupid. I should go to this subreddit. I should dedicate an entire stream to just calling kids retarded.
proof that kids do
I
not
like
think
that.
long term. They don't
No.
have the mental capacity to fully think through their actions. So, how is a teacher supposed to convince a student to learn how to read when that student believes that the AI can just read for them? How does
Well, the problem isn't that the problem isn't that the student believes it. The problem is that the student's right. AI can read for you. Calculators can solve math problems. So until you can address that for what it is, you're not going to be able to explain it to somebody who's conscientious why this is a good idea. Yeah, the reason that the kids are right.
they convince them to learn to write when they can talk to ChatGPT and it'll write for them? Spelling, why bother? Grammar, who cares? History, civics, critical thinking. The AI has all the answers.
That's right.
And all a child sees is a path of least resistance. They
Yep.
don't understand that to struggle is to learn and to grow.
What are you doing?
GPT.
I know, but what are you doing?
I'm doing school.
Are you doing school on ChatGPT?
Gotta start them out early. Oh, man.
How old are you?
3.
3 years old and he's on ChatGPT doing school. Oh, my God.
And what are these children hearing from the adults about AI? AI is going to change everything.
Yeah.
AI
It's
makes you so much more efficient. AI
I mean, if I had a kid, I'd get him on the computer as fast as possible. I'd have him using AI at 5 years old. I would. Because that's the future. That's the world. As a parent, I think your responsibility is to prepare your kid for the world. You can dislike AI all you want, but it still exists. That's it. I would immediately do that. Sure. Because that's the real world. Like, you can't go and like pretend like, oh no, it's like it was when I was a kid. No, it's not. The world that you lived in is gone.
do it for you. Why would a child
that's my
invest
opinion.
in learning when every adult around them is saying that
Exactly.
machines will do it better?
Yeah.
We're creating learned helplessness at scale.
I'm going to start with saying that teachers are not afraid of AI because we hate technology. We are scared because we are watching critical thinking disappear in real time. When I was in high school, my math teachers would say, you got to know how to do this because you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. Well,
But
guess
now
what?
you have
I
a
have a
calculator.
calculator in my
Yep.
pocket at all times.
That's
But what
right.
I've realized is that it's not a fair comparison because calculators replace
I actually think critical thinking is an all-time highlight now. There's less tribalism than there's ever been in human history.
computation after we learned how math worked. AI
This is a
People-
cope. It's a massive cope.
People have the ability to form their own opinions more than they ever did.
No wonder your kids aren't listening to you. You're a retard. Why would they listen to a retard?
This is a point I was making way early in the video. If you're not going to be smarter than them, then there's no reason for them to even focus on you.
shows up, before students ever learn how to think through a problem. What we are witnessing is that students are now incapable in sitting in any kind of intellectual discomfort, and that's concerning.
This is what...
She's right, though? No, she's not. The idea that students back then were learning the computations of math is total bullshit. Kids were totally looking up answers. They were doing all this on their own, and they never learned this. I bet if you asked that woman to do a math problem herself, she wouldn't be able to do it. Like, that's the bottom line, is they wouldn't be able to do this. The fact is that if you don't engage people in a genuine way, the big problem I think a lot of these teachers have is that they treat kids like they're like inferior, like animals in a way. A lot of kids are not. It's not like it's not like a dog or a cat or something like that.
It's more like cattle, and as far as public school systems go.
It's just a person that has some impaired decision-making capabilities. And I think that the problem is that they try to explain things to them in a way that's disrespectful to an adult. But they try to explain it to a kid that way, and they do that instead, and they hope that, oh, well, maybe that's going to work. Maybe that's going to make them understand this or see it the right way. Bad take? It's not a bad take. I know how kids think because I used to be a kid, and this is exactly what I used to do. Like, I would have been one of these kids 100%. Absolutely.
What people miss when they compare AI to calculators. It's not just math. It's literally...
AI is a tool. They need to realize critical thinking isn't replaced by tools. You're not going to be able to explain to a person the idea that, for example, doing long division creates a level of thinking that's going to be beneficial for them. That's not how it works. The thing is that if you're teaching, like, the way that you solve this, by the way, how do you solve this? You solve this by teaching abstract logic. That's what you have to do.
Chat thinks everybody's a fucking mathematician.
Instead of trying to teach, like, you know, compute this problem, solve this math equation, you have to go and take a step back and teach abstract logic and concepts. So the solution isn't just continuing to teach people long division and multiplication infinitely, right? That's just a mistake.
Every subject, inclinging thinking itself. Algebra
is absolutely necessary. It's absolutely not.
It's not.
I bet if you gave everybody in this chat an algebra test, the 80 or 90% of people would fail it. Even algebra 1. I bet they would fail it. And do you know why? It's because nobody uses it because it doesn't matter.
Because of it.
That's the
vast
reason.
Majority of people
research on AI and cognition. Students who use AI show weaker reasoning skills.
Yep.
They accept answers without questioning them. Researchers call it cognitive offloading. They develop this pattern of generating first and thinking later, or really generating first and not thinking at all. And the scary part is these studies are showing cognitive decline in adults. People with fully developed brains. If AI is doing this to adults, then what is it doing to a brain?
I mean, a brain technically starts to rot past the age of 24, 25, shortly after your frontal cortex fully matures.
Brain that's still forming.
Well, they're not using their thinking. That's the reason why.
Teachers are responding to the overuse of AI by removing Chromebooks and iPads from the classroom. They're going back.
What a great idea. Let's not prepare kids for the real world, so your inability to adapt with the current times as a teacher is retained. This is why you need to have, again, Navy SEALs being into fucking, making these decisions and being teachers. Is because these retarded Karens, like, their idea of solving this problem isn't teaching kids for the future. Oh, no. It's trying to remove every stimuli possible so things can be just like they were in 1995. It's not 1995 anymore. It's not 2005 anymore. It's not even 2015. The fact is, the world has changed. And if you're not teaching kids and preparing them for the world that exists now, you're putting them at a disadvantage. You are. Well, what the fuck? No, I'm being honest. You need critically thinking, though? No, I'm being honest. Absolutely. What's this here? The whole reason we develop such large brains is thinking critically? Yeah, definitely. And plot twist, it's AI Avatar. What do you think they do in China? Regulate tech in classrooms? Well, I don't know what they do in China. I have no idea. You fail to understand that they're not trying to teach the kids asthma. They're trying to get the kids to activate their brains for the first time in their lives due to them being overstimulated with content. That's the point. I don't think that's really the point at all. I think that if you can't stimulate and you can't get people to focus on something, at a certain point, it is the teacher's fault. And I think that everybody knows this to be true. I know that we all like to get together and circle jerk about how, oh yeah, this is, kids nowadays are so stupid. But I think that we all had classes when we were in like elementary school or middle school or high school.
I think the big point being missed by everybody here is that, these teachers and Asmongold, public schools were never meant for children. They were meant for the teachers and all the other staff as a day work program.
Where there was a teacher there that was just a total fucking moron and nobody paid attention to them. But then you'd go to another class and the teacher actually knew what they were talking about and they could actually teach the class and people paid attention. I think that's it. And so we've all had this experience, but the moment that I say this is the same thing, but it's just a different flavor, people act like I'm wrong. No, I'm not. This is the way it actually is. Of course it is. Like, I don't know how people can be so stupid. How can anybody be so stupid to not realize that if you're living in a world that is constantly evolving and changing with technology, the solution to that should not be removing the technology. This is not, you're not preparing a kid for the real world by removing the technology. And then there's also another component. I want to talk about one more thing, then we're going to move on. These schools are not teaching critically thinking. They're not teaching critical thinking. They're teaching worthless little factoids like who started Minnesota or whether it was like Catholics in whatever fucking place that it was. This is worthless, useless information that people will forget probably 5 minutes, just like I did. They'll forget 5 minutes after they read it. You're not teaching kids anything that's valuable. You're not teaching kids anything that matters. You're just teaching them these worthless factoids so you can understand, or they can take a test that tests them on these worthless factoids, and then it never improves their life at all. It's basically the idea of give a man a fish, he's fed for a day. Teach a man to fish, you'll feed him for life. That's really what they do. Is they want you to learn these different like little things. Okay, you have to know this, that, and the other thing and everything else, but they're not really teaching you any sort of problem solving process at all. And that's why I said you have to, the shift has to be away from repeating factoids back to the teacher that they told you, and it needs to shift over to understanding logic and being able to connect different points. That's it. And if you can't teach kids in that way, the kids will not be prepared for the real world. That's fundamentally how it is. Wasted IQ training, no profitable skills. Yeah, they have no, like, it's not a skill to know that. I think you're being far too general with this. I'm not. Because this is something, technology is changing everything. It's changing the way that people do everything. So if you're not teaching people a foundational way of thinking, then it doesn't matter what they learn. Because it's just, this is another thing too, is that whenever you're teaching people skills, if those skills are not going to be applied in real life, they will be forgotten. This is just the reality. A lot of the things that you remember, here's a great example. How many of you guys ever had a time where you were in school and let's say you went, over Christmas break and you come back and you forgot your locker combination? Yes, right? Okay, yeah. So a lot of people have had this happen. It's not the same. It is. I think that, as I said, if I had people in this chat room that are arguing with me about this, if I had them take a 9th grade Algebra 1 test, I bet the overwhelming majority of people would fail. It's because if you don't teach people how to think and things that are useful, they will forget. That's just the reality.
Back to pencil and paper, the method that we've used for hundreds of years because it actually works. But I want to discuss who's actually incentivized to have AI in the classrooms.
Okay, here we go.
We already know what social media was designed to do, and we know the future design because Mark Zuckerberg has been quite open about that. He thinks AI can fill the gaps in your friendships. He's exploiting the loneliness caused by his own apps. Then there's Noam Shazir. He's the founder of Character AI. In an interview, Shazir said, "I joke that we're not going to replace Google. We're going to replace your mom." He wants his AI chatbot to replace mothers, the person who's supposed to guide you, help
It's kind of funny because they've essentially already replaced search engines.
you make decisions, and provide you with life
Like, I used to spend fucking a whole day searching an old fucking 20-year-old forum post just to find info I was searching for. Now it's just like 5 minutes at most on average, compared to shit that used to take a day or two.
Life advice. He would rather his chatbot do that. And then there's Sam Altman. There's always a Sam Altman quote because the man has never received a podcast invitation that he could turn down.
People talk about the most personal shit in their lives to ChatGPT. Young people especially use it as a therapist, a life coach.
I've seen people do this. They use
Most people use it for this, but it's one of the worst things to use it for.
ChatGPT for therapy, which is crazy to me.
It is.
These relationship problems. What should I do?
They don't really make life decisions without asking ChatGPT what they should do, and it has the
That's
full
what
context on every
even this guy
person in their
uses
life
it for
and what
that
they've
shit.
talked about. And
There's young
What?
people who
Sam's
just
crazy,
say
too.
I can't make any decision in my life without telling ChatGPT everything that's going on. It knows me.
Okay, I like AI, but this is too much. This is crazy.
It knows my friends. I'm gonna do whatever.
Oh
it
my
says.
God.
These CEOs know exactly
What
what they're
the
doing.
fuck?
They're not accidentally replacing critical thinking. They're designing
If it wasn't for ChatGPT, Sam Altman wouldn't know how to raise a child.
for it. They want users dependent on the chatbot for advice, for
Yep.
decision making, for
Yep.
thinking itself. Because dependency is a business model. In fact, it
Sure is.
translates to $20 a month for ChatGPT.
Wow,
But
how
all of this
convenient.
has a societal cost, and we are paying for it.
I don't get to teach. I spend my day managing behaviors and teaching students how to regulate their emotions.
Uh-oh.
I'm not a counselor. I'm not a behavior specialist. I'm a teacher, and most of my job is managing behaviors. I just watched a video of a teacher getting pepper sprayed by their student.
Maybe they thought the teacher was ice.
In the school because they took their phone because it was being used to cheat on a test.
Yep.
She didn't sign up
Oh my God.
You gotta take my
Wow.
phone. Take this too.
for this. None of them did. Teachers go into the profession with the expectation that they
based?
will teach, similar to how
Yeah, I mean, that kid probably didn't even want to go to school in the first place, so it's pretty fucking shitty that you're taking their phone away too.
their teachers taught them. They didn't realize that they would be managing behaviors
Yep.
because they're not behavioral therapists. But today, that's what the job entails. Severe breakouts, tremors, daily anxiety attacks, crying before work, crying after work, dreading the drive in,
Christ.
bringing work home because there's not enough time to do your job at your
Jesus, this is so bad.
job. The data shows teacher shortages were being reported on back in 1998. But
Yeah, I
back
bet.
then, it
Because
was
you don't pay them any money. That's the problem.
Yeah,
You just have a
nobody
bunch
wants
of
the
brain
job,
dead
but the
Karens
crazy
that are
people.
working at these high schools and middle schools. And the reason why is that anybody who's not wouldn't be working there. You get treated like a bot.
they
The
get
students
paid
are
better than
pepper
them.
spraying you. Nobody
They get paid better by private schools, and if you can find a Montessori school, usually they pay even better than the private ones.
knows anything. You have to cater your education to the dumbest person in the class. You don't get paid any fucking money. You're on call constantly, and you get treated like a retard. So yeah, big surprise. People don't want to be teachers. Wow, what a surprise.
fewer than 30% of states. Fast forward to today, and it's 86% of school districts that can't fill
my
their
God.
positions. 86% is a collapse, not a shortage. 411,000 teaching positions are either empty or filled by someone who isn't fully qualified. As a result of having less staff and more students, more
You don't
students with
say.
behavioral issues, teachers are burning out. In fact, teachers
Yeah,
have
I
the
bet.
highest burnout rates of all industries, with 44% reporting always or very often feeling
Well, I mean, the reason why too is that nowadays, because teachers, there's like so much more technology. Like I talked to somebody who was a teacher semi-recently, and they told me that they had to respond back to the parent complaints and the parent messages within 3 days. So even if it was on like a weekend or something, they still had to be replying back to these messages and talking to these parents. So I think that's the big difference too. Parents are shit. Well, I'm saying in general, right? They're cooked. Yeah. And so like,
Yeah, the parents are shit too, as far as public schools go. Like, they're not even paying for their kids' education, but they're still completely demanding.
you have these teachers that like they have to spend their own money on school supplies, number one. Number two, they're massively disrespected by the students. And then the parents blame any shortcoming of the student on the teacher. And then on top of that, the parents now have this teacher at their beck and call at any moment, at any time. And so really, and all of this is for being paid, I don't know, $45,000 or $55,000 a year. Yeah, of course they're going to quit. Of course they're going to hate it. I think it makes sense. I mean, I would.
Out. This clip says how it feels going to sleep tonight knowing that I don't have to wake up tomorrow and teach children because I quit my teaching job in the middle of the year.
Man.
We can go to the comments. What are you doing instead? Asking for me.
Wow.
Currently in class and just letting them talk over me because I'm tired of it already. What do you do now? I went out.
Maybe I'm an asshole for saying this, but I bet a lot of these teachers are probably awful. Because I remember what it was like whenever I was in school. And a lot of the teachers that always complained about being teachers, the reason why is because they were retards that nobody respected.
Yeah, the ones that complain the most are almost always the absolute worst teachers in the whole school.
And so, like, I most of them are exactly right. I mean, so whenever I hear, oh, it's so hard, it's so bad, yeah, sure. And yeah, it's like, let's go ahead. Yeah, what are you doing? Oh, you're passing out worksheets for all the students to do. And they can't look anything up on the internet. Right, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because they're never going to have the internet, for sure.
Out of education. Quitting teaching was the best decision of my life.
Sad.
You won't regret it.
You're shitting on everybody?
This is honestly
I am.
terrifying seeing how many teachers wanting to quit. Teachers deserve better than
Tragedy of the commons. Gotta go get a weed for you.
What they need to do is they need to pay teachers way more money, and then you have higher quality, better teachers. That's the problem. It's like, why would somebody that was a well-educated, intelligent person, why would they choose to become a teacher unless they're just extremely passionate for it? So whenever you're foregoing a certain quality of life, you're not able to, like, the only people that you get as teachers, and I'm sure you guys probably had this happen in high school, is that maybe 80-20, right? Like 90-10. 80% of your teachers were retarded bots, and 20% or 10% of your teachers were really engaging, super motivated, great teachers that were like S-tier, educators. And like, that's probably how it was, right? And so the reason why is because those 80% bots, they couldn't get a job anywhere else. That's the reason why. Nobody else would hire them.
comments are filled with teachers
Garbage.
who want out or teachers who have already left, and it's the best decision they made. By the way, this video was posted 1 week ago. It has over 2 million views and over 292,000 likes.
Jesus.
The algorithm found every burnt out teacher in America.
I think it's probably a lot less than that.
I live like this.
How do you afford this on a teacher's salary? Oh, she should start a daycare. Wow.
So that my students can live like this.
Oh, that's nice. See that? Why do we have this happen? I think this is a really great example of what I'm talking about. She should be getting the money that we're funneling to these Somalian, scammers. All of these parasite immigrant scammers, ship them back to whatever shithole they came from, and then give these people the money to educate our kids. What are we doing? Really? What a stupid way of doing things.
So how can I afford to do this on a teacher's salary? The answer is I can't.
Yep.
I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I am beyond broke.
This is disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful.
Are the people that we're losing. Teachers who are willing to live paycheck to paycheck to nurture the next generation. A survey found nearly 97% of teachers use their own money to buy classroom supplies.
97%.
Teachers earning between $35,000 to $50,000 are spending $700 out of pocket each school year for kids to have pencils. Critical thinking is becoming a class marker who can actually question things. But this is to be expected. For years, education has been systematically devalued, defunded, and deprioritized.
The reason why our education system is so bad is because we tailor our education system around making the dumbest 10 to 20% of the people in high schools graduate. That's the reason why. If we tailored the education system around intelligent people rather than, dragging these worthless pieces of garbage all the way through school, then everything would be totally fine and we'd be up there with China. The real problem is that the education system is catered to the lowest common denominator. And to the extent that you cater to the lowest common denominator, you will get the lowest common denominator. That's the problem. And so No Child Left Behind. No, I understand that. And again, if you went to public school, you would know this is true. That a lot of times the school is now like the school classes are based around basically the bottom 50%, or at least like, probably bottom like 20% of people's understanding. And that's it. Participation trophies for everyone. Well, that's racist because let's be real, minorities would be the most ones that get left behind. Well, I don't really care, like whether it leaves behind white people, black people, Mexicans, or Asians. It doesn't really matter. The thing is that if you have people that are stupid and you're tailoring the education around protecting them and making sure that they stay caught up with everything, you're just wasting your time. And another reason too is that a lot of the students that end up graduating that are retarded, those students end up getting privileges and advantages that effectively let them pass the class in the 11th hour anyway. So this is what I think is really funny about it, is that we graduate. And I remember this was whenever I was in school, right? And like, you guys can tell me if the same thing happened with you, is that if you went to a public school, tell me if this is what happened, is that a lot of times you would have kids that are really, really stupid that would get a ton of advantages and bonus points on like a test or on a final grade or something like that if they just did some menial, worthless activity that didn't even indicate that they knew anything, right? We're all saying yes, right? So the entire focus around trying to cater the education system around these people has just hurt everything. And that's the problem. If you took out, like, and this is really what I would say, is that if you took out the bottom 5% of people that are in schools and you just let them fail out of school, schools would become twice as good. And we would totally change this graph. I'm not kidding whenever I say that if you took out, now this is a question I'll ask you again. If you took out the bottom 5% most problematic people.
That's a good point.
Inside of your school, what percentage of the problems would go away? Bottom 5% are gone, expelled, in permanent detention. What percentage of the problems will go away? Everybody's saying like 100%. All the problems will go away. So how is it that our education system is catered around micromanaging these bottom 5% functional animals and effectively sabotaging 95% of our kids to learn fucking school? That's the problem. That's the issue. And nobody wants to talk about this because it's elitist, or people could say it's racist or something, but it's true. It's absolutely true. And anybody that's been to a public school knows it's true. And until you admit it and you work against it, nothing's going to change.
But who truly benefits from a population that can't read, can't write, can't think critically, and ask?
Even making schooling mandatory for children creates a vastly larger false demand on the market than there would otherwise be.
Questions. These same tech companies creating these problems are selling the solution. The same government that claims prosperity is defunding schools.
So we're blaming the kids? Yes. Some people are born with more talent points than others. Some kids are stupid. What I would do is I would create a secondary special education program for the bottom 5% or 10% of the school. And I would put them in those remedial classes for 4 years and teach them as many types of working skills as possible, and then get them out of there, and then make sure that the rest of the students are held to higher standards. That's what I would do. We already have that? No, it's not good enough. Yep, not good enough. I understand that, but it's not good enough.
At the same time, using our tax dollars to build yet another AI data center.
What every educator on this app is talking about, and what every educator in the field is noticing, is a dramatic decline in basic critical reasoning skills and basic literacy skills among students.
That's right.
This is particularly pronounced among high school age students, where they're engaging with more complex material and can't grasp basic concepts or manage basic memory about those concepts. And what this is creating is a generation entering the workforce without basic comprehension skills that is going to make it very hard for them to keep and maintain any form of employment. On the inverse,
true. He's right.
We're seeing kids in more affluent families being not only pulled out of the public school system and sent to things like Montessori schools, but being pulled away from technology, not given access to anything more than, say, a TV or a video game station until they're a teenager. No tablets, no phones, things like that. And what they're doing to fill their time instead is the normal childhood stuff of playing outside, reading a book, coloring sheets, all of these things.
I feel like this guy wouldn't even be able to get a job if it wasn't for being a fucking bureaucrat, basically.
That seem like play, but are actually building soft skills that make someone much better able to navigate the world around them as they get older. The gap is not going to be who can use AI and who cannot. The gap is not going to be who is an all-star on the ACT with a full ride. And
The gap's going to be who can get that government check and who can't.
Not. The gap is going to be who can reason in a basic way and who
that's
cannot.
not it.
Exactly what I said. Keep in mind.
That's not what. That's not what's going to determine the winners or losers for the most part, though.
Will probably be left behind.
Most people will be left behind, whether you can weed or not. Whether you can reason or not, you won't be their ally.
That's it. Dude's also a Marine. I don't know if he's a Marine or not.
Sure didn't seem like one. Maybe a formal one.
Yeah, I have no idea. No, you didn't. I absolutely did. I said you have to teach people. Oh, yeah. No, maybe that is Marines. And the few, yeah, he is. So, wait a minute. You said the opposite? No, I didn't. And what I said is that you have to teach kids basic math, or sorry, not basic math, basic logic. You have to teach them abstract logic thinking techniques rather than trying to have them, basically memorize, like some equation. Like, that's not a good way to do it. Yeah, I did say that. You can just scroll back and you'll find it. I'll link you guys the video. There it is. So I do think it's very, very funny that at the very end of the video, the thing that I said they needed to do, the only guy that I think really had a firm grasp on this is the exact kind of guy that I think needs to be involved in schools. Absolutely. Just agree with the blonde teacher previously. She said the same thing. Well, no, it's because math is something that's unique also. And with the blonde teacher, what she was really saying is people that are remembering certain specific things. It's not about remembering certain specific things. It's about learning and understanding a process of intaking information. And if you don't understand the process of
It's literally saying the opposite about algebra earlier.
Intaking information and processing and deciding on information, then you're going to fail. That's really it. That's not what she said at all. I don't know. I could scroll back and find it. I don't really care. But that's what she said. I don't remember exactly. And yeah, it's the video blaming teachers and all. Yeah, I mean, I think that really a lot of this does have to do with bad teachers, though. I do think this. And a lot of people like to, not blame the teachers. But I think the teachers definitely are at fault. And I think the reason why is because we don't have enough money to pay for good teachers. That's it. Math, logic, and reasoning, abstract thinking, what the fuck? No, see, like, everybody...
This is what happens when parents let the government parent the kids more than they do.
Everybody thinks that math is abstract logic and reasoning, but the way that it's taught in schools is not abstract or logical. What they teach people in schools is they teach them to, do this equation, apply this equation to this triangle, do this infinity times, and that's it. That's not really learning any sort of real skill. That's just teaching them to do ABC. That's it. It's memorization. The majority of school is memorization. To the extent that the majority of school is memorization.
That's the point, though, because they're training people to be just tedious laborers.
Will be the extent that I think people won't really be able to learn. Never made it to algebra? Well, of course you do. Yeah, I mean, of course I've been to algebra. Yeah, sure. It's teaching routine, not teaching logic. Yeah, you're teaching them routine and not logic. There's the video. Make sure to give it a like. I think this is a huge problem. And again, we will have this, America will have this problem until people are willing to accept that all students will not get the same outcome. You can't expect every student to be able to understand algebra. You can't expect every student to be able to understand, a lot of abstract concepts, because some people are just stupid. And really, I mean, you think about it, there's a lot of people that are dumb. So whenever you tailor an education system around trying to protect dumb people from the consequences of their own behavior, you just basically have a really stupid education system. How are your grades in high school? Well, I didn't really ever do anything in high school. Like the standardized tests, I always got like really good grades. My GPA was very low because I just didn't do anything. But like in terms of standardized testing, it was great. But yeah, did you get a master's degree? No, I did not. Absolutely not. You're arguing on Bloom's taxonomy, understanding application versus memorization, data input? Yeah, definitely. And I don't know what that is exactly, but I'm sure it's basically the same thing. 90 to 95% have the actual ability to learn and read. Most just don't because their teachers and school systems stink. 90 to 95% have the actual ability to learn and read. Yeah, I think that's about accurate. That's why it's like about removing the bottom 5%. Yeah, it's exactly what I said.